O my Lord, here I am, a beggar before you, reaching for your door, in complete poverty. All I have is my shame and humility, possessing nothing to hold, nor to mention even a begging bowl. A beggar slain from within, my desires and yearnings corrupted because of his sins. I have wasted away the treasures of deen because of the self of mine. I have cast it aside, sukoon of the heart at the altar of pleasures entwined.
Served deen and was buried near Syyiduna Abdul Dabbagh rahmahullah. He said, try hard to practice deen, do mujahida to practice deen, but don't go to extremes. You've gone too far if life not worth living seems. It seems that it's not worth living. And you've gone in the other way too far ahead if you love life so much that your death you don't fear. So I'm going to explain to you that he said you should try to practice deen, but don't go to extremes. What does that mean? There are many signs that the person has gone to extremes in trying to practice deen. यानी वो फरमा रहे हैं कि दीन के लिए पर अमल करो, दीन के लिए मेहनत करो, लेकिन इंतहा पसंदी, हद से ज़्यादा किसी चीज़ में बढ़ो ना, उसका नुकसान होगा. And people don't understand this. Either they don't practice deen or they actually practice so hard and go to extremes, and the result of both of them actually is very bad. So he said one should try to practice deen in all aspects like iman, aqidah, fiqh and tazkiyah. Because that's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in response to Jibreel alayhi salam. What is iman? Jibreel alayhi salam asked. What is Islam? And what is ihsan? So these three things are necessary. Nevertheless, going to extremes with practicing the deen is not to be done. The person should realize that at the end of the day, even after trying very hard, at the end of the day, no matter how much hard you try practicing the deen and tariq, he will fall short of the glory of Allah and to be the ideal. He will always have some shortcomings and nooks in them. He can never be a prophet which were perfect people. So everyone who has reached Allah, they have reached Allah whilst they had shortcoming in them compared to Allah's glory. They can never become innocent people. These mistakes and shortcomings are inherently part of human, and trying to make one's life extremely rigid to avoid such failings will not get rid of them entirely. They will just show up in another way. Rather than going to extremes, the person should continue to live a balanced life and for shortcomings pray forgiveness. Now, what are some of the signs that you've gone to extremes? That's how you're going to recognize it. कुछ निशानियां के बंदा जो है ये दीन पे हद से ज़्यादा अमल कर रहा है, आगे जा रहा है, इसका नुकसान होगा इसको. What are the signs that they're going to extremes? Number one, losing the desire to live life. Nothing seems enjoyable anymore. And a person is actively seeking death. or developing suicidal tendencies. You see this, if a person is practicing his deen and he loses the desire to live life completely and develop suicidal tendencies, this means that he has gone to extremes. The Prophet ﷺ informed us that near the end of the world, many believers will wish that they were dead because of the difficulties they will face. Perhaps because the society will become so materialistic that the pressure to survive materially will not allow them to fully practice deen, the wajib acts of deen. And disobedience will run rampant and become impossible or difficult to avoid in population areas, centers. So people in the future who find themselves in these circumstances should keep in mind Allah's wisdom in making them live in such a hard time. Their wisdom is behind there. In terms of practicing deen and the next world for undergoing, additionally they should console themselves by expecting Allah's mercy and reward, that Allah will treat them well in the next world for undergoing such suffering. So this is a person, sometimes they practice so much that they come to a conclusion, it's not worthwhile living now, it's end of the world. That's why these people who are mongering end of the world, every year someone brings Imam Mahdi and other people, when is the end of the world is going to come, 2012 is the end of the world, and when it's going to come, it's going to come. Allah is not going to ask us, I am going to bring the end of the world, shall I do it or not? So these people are just give false presumptions and negativity they actually send to people. So people have committed suicide, they've sold their properties, some have actually gone into jungle, that world is ending. People have done different things because even non-Muslims were affected. They said it is completely, the world is coming to an end, 2012 or 2014. And then some people have committed suicide, some people have done many other things, even non-Muslim. So these are people who are not in the welfare of humanity. They are astray themselves and going to lead others astray. Number two, sign number two that you've gone to extreme in practicing deen, which is not desirable at all, is that not treating other people politely and with respect due to rigid attempts to practice the deen. So if you see a person with beard, Imam Sharif, you speak to them, it seems that they are fed up of life. Is to speak to them, they speak with rigidity and harshness and looking with contempt upon every person, that they are like shayateen and devils walking, and I am the one who is saved. Rather, they become harsher and more rigid in their attitude and in treating people, dealing with parents, dealing with wife and husband and family. They're shouting, always they're taunting, and the family and friends, they become fed up that what's going on. We thought that the religion, the person will go towards deen and he will become more polite, more forgiving, more nice, more gentle, more tender, more tolerating the wrongs of others. And he has even become more, he doesn't want to speak to no one. If he speaks, he's just like throwing arrows. And, so he should understand that what he is going through, firstly, the deen should have, the end result should have been a merciful, gentle, a moderate person who everyone meets and they feel peace. But yes, they can show harshness or strictness in certain discipline, but this should not be If it's the normal behavior and people are complaining about how your harshness, then actually it is. So harshness does not mean that, for example, someone says, shave off your beard, and you say, okay, I'll do. But it means that in your character and your speaking, you do whatever you, meaning what the deen wants, but don't respond aggressively to people. Because if you think they are not practicing deen, it's like they are people who have a disease, a kind of disease and illness. So if they have illness, they deserve compassion, they don't deserve anger. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the big title to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is rahmatan lil alameen, a merciful. This is dominant thing. So if any religious person you think is always very serious, and as it seems that it is actually, if anyone speaks, he is going to actually speak harshly or actually make a joke out of them, or actually anything, seems that this person has gone to extremes. He doesn't have a teacher. Or if he has a teacher, he is not following him. Mashayikh ko dekhe, awliya, they were the most tender, gentle people in normal, especially with even sinful people, with kuffar, for dawah purposes and others dealing with normally, they were actually. Only in the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the time of jihad and time to defend people, his city, his people, the deen, they went to war, and otherwise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's normal and most his behavior and attitude and character was compassion. And if he showed harshness, that was for a purpose as well. तो एक ये भी ख्याल रखे कि अगर बंदे में सख्ती पैदा हो रही है, ऐसे लग रहा है जैसे जल्लाद है, मुस्कुराता नहीं, सर हर वक्त जो है वो यानी ऐसे कि भाई ये कोई कर देगा, या कोई लोग से सख्ती के साथ बात करता है और मजहबी बना हुआ है कि आजकल मैं दीनदार हो गया हूँ, तो ये समझे कि वो हद पे चला गया. Number 3 sign is feeling extreme physical fatigue or weakness, fainting, lacking sleep from trying to practice the deen. अगर बंदे को बहुत थकावट हो जाए और थक गया बंदा और सो भी नहीं रहा, और जो है यानी इस तरह की extreme physical fatigue or illness, becoming so sick that one cannot leave bed, one is crying, weeping, and is not taking care of one's daily needs. This means although he is doing zikr, whatever he is doing, he's gone to the extreme, he's not on the right tracks. So if you come into this state after practicing deen, that family is upset now, they are grieved that this person was practicing deen and he is now so ill, or he is sleepless, or he doesn't come out of his room, he shuts the door and stays in when anything is happening. This means that he has gone to the extreme. Number 6 sign, extreme depression, feeling that there is no hope for good anymore. So some people, they think there is no good, Islam is being dominated, so they feel depressed in the sense, so depressed that they don't do anything, or what they do is might go and kill other people, or be very harsh to the creation because they think it's not worthwhile now living. They go into extreme depression, and then they go to extreme feelings, and these states lead to extreme actions. That's how some of this terrorism and in different places, people who are fighting, someone has invaded their country, they have a right to do those. We are not saying about them, but people who kill innocent people, Muslim, non-Muslim, in other parts who are living peacefully, and they are not under threat, no one is invading their country, and they are just going out and actually just making their point and things. So these people, they are born from these types of feeling, going to the extremes of deen. And then they want to get it out on someone. And they say, let's get out on disbelievers, or actually whoever it is. So people who see signs of going to extreme, really, if they have a teacher, then they should follow the teacher blindly. When mentioned there, and if he says, stop this, stop this, stop this, they should stop. If they still carry on doing their own thing, no, I understand better, I'm only doing good, they are going towards destruction. But general guidance I'm giving, people who don't have teachers, people who see signs of going extremes should cut back on their practice of deen a little bit at a time, starting from cutting back on optional and mandoob acts and avoiding disliked acts. So meaning they should stop doing some of the extra zikr and mustahbats and extra recommended acts and things which are makruh to do, they should stop actually avoiding them as well. So what should they do? Until they come to a point where they are at a level of comfortable practice, they can then, Allah willing, stay at this level of comfort for rest of their lives. Then they should include performing the 5 pillars and avoiding the major acts of disobedience for the rest of their lives. So what they limit themselves to is 5 pillars of Islam and the haram acts of which are completely unlawful, like drinking alcohol, zina, and practicing necessary sunnah only, and just limit themselves to them rest of their lives if they think they are going on the other side. This is much better than leaving the deen altogether, because the result of the other thing will be that they will leave even the faraiz and wajibat and thing, and that I am having a lapse or I'm having a fit of actually this, they will leave altogether deen. This is much better than leaving deen altogether, and is better than cutting back on all practice of deen at once. For example, to stop praying 5 times a day, a person can do that as well. So many people, when they are in this state, they don't feel like worshipping, they become agitated, they even stop prayer, they will start watching wrong films and meeting people, they go to the other extreme then. Because actually, there. So I say to people normally that when you are not feeling like acting upon and you are under the, you may say, influence of nafs or laziness, still then keep to your faraiz and keep avoiding haram. Even though you don't do any nafal, zikr or mustahab and nawafil and things you've left, but still keep at your faraiz and keep avoiding haram and stay there. So this is, if you have gone to extreme by practicing deen. At the other extreme, now there's another end as well, which Shaykh Abdul Wahid ibn said, and if you've gone in the other way too far ahead, this means that if you love life so much that you don't like death and the hereafter, then it means you've gone on the other extreme. Yani at the other extreme, the person can become too relaxed and too lax in practicing deen. And the signs of that is, for example, not liking death, not remembering death, doesn't like to mention death and the hereafter matters. Number 2, leaving the practice of 5 pillars of Islam. Number 3, freely with choice and without repentance, engaging in major acts of disobedience, which I will give you a list, which are they. There are 20 major acts of disobedience. So people who see signs for becoming too lax should build up their practice of deen, then little by little at a time. For example, starting performing the 5 prayers or 5 pillars and then avoiding the major acts until they come to a point where they are at a slight level of discomfort in practicing deen. Then they can stay a little level below this level of discomfort, and then which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fadl of Allah should include performing the 5 pillars, avoiding the major acts of disobedience for the rest of their lives. This is much better than starting up extreme practice of the deen at all once, and then it will not last long. So this is general guidance Imam Abdul Wahid ibn Hashir giving to everyone, but our tariq is already designed in such a way it doesn't let you go to extremes. For example, we don't put the person into that all the clothing of deen, you should now actually, everything of the tariq you should start practicing. Imagine you are started with sometimes dhikr only, even muraqabah is not given. Sometimes the sheet is not given, only zikr and muraqabah is given. And if practicing deen starts from maybe one sheet of the tongue, so people who are following the tariq, they shouldn't actually worry about this if they are following the path, because it's already designed in such a way it doesn't let you go to extreme. Because when you reach high, it has been a gradual improvement in you, so you are all comfortable with it. So if you start practicing deen and tariq, you meaning you are harsh with people, on your work colleagues or your college colleagues or students, with the children, with the neighbors, with parents, with families, this thing seems then you are on the not right track. So that's he described this in 2 sentences. Imam Abdul Wahid bin Hashir, उन्होंने कहा कि ये ऐसा ना करना. And because this is, shaitan approaches you from both sides. If you're not practicing, his purpose is get you in hell, you can go in hell. If you're practicing and you end up going to the extreme, that actually the result will be you will leave the practice of deen again and make other people unhappy, as well as give not a good image of Islam and deen and tariq and whatever you are following. तो ये है, तो we'll inshallah continue with the guidance. So just to summarize again, so that you are in full in picture, ये देखें, रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की मेराज तो उनकी मेराज थी, उस तरह की मेराज तो अंबिया को भी दूसरों को वो नसीब, जिस तरह उनको अल्लाह ने मेराज नसीब फरमाई, उनका मौजज़ा ख़ास. हर नबी की मेराज मुख्तलिफ होती है, आपकी मेराज भी सबसे अल्लाह. बट आवर सिनफुल पीपल, हम जो गुनाहगार लोग हैं, हमारी मेराज, हाउ कैन वी गो ऑन मेराज एंड टू क्लोजनेस ऑफ अल्लाह सुब्हानहु व तआला, is by firstly, this is the earth which we are living the sinful life, deception. We should sit in our buraq. Our buraq is sunnah. Our buraq is sunnah, and it has 4 legs, and they are aqidah, fiqh, tawbah, and mujahida. And then we fly to the Baitul Muqaddas, meaning we adopt good company. We adopt good company. Then first heaven, which is the tongue, second heaven, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. 7 अज़ा जो है, 7 जिस्म के हिस्से, ये 7 आसमान है. बुराक हमारा सुन्नत है. देखना, बुराक अल्लाह की तरफ लेके गया, यानी आसमानों की तरफ. तो सुन्नत से ज्यादा कोई चीज भी नहीं है कीमती जो अल्लाह की तरफ ले जाए. बुराक से भी ज्यादा आप समझ लें, उस बुराक की बहुत कीमत है, लेकिन नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की सुन्नत की उससे भी ज्यादा कीमत है. Buraq is a very precious thing, which was used as a conveyance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is blessed. But Sunnah is part of Rasulullah. Buraq is not the part of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Buraq was just serving him. But the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which can be a Buraq for us, it can take us very swiftly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The way of the Prophet in dealings, in earning, in living, in character, in speaking, in walking, all these things. 7 आसमान जो है वो 7 आज़ा हैं हमारे. जुबान, कान, आंख, पेट, ये ही 7 आसमान है हमारे. These are 7 heavens for us. And we discussed yesterday. Then Prophet ﷺ went to Baitul Mamur. Baitul Mamur is the house of Allah and the heavens, and for us it is the head and the pure thoughts, like the angels are circumambulating. फरिश्ते तवाफ कर रहे हैं, इस तरह अच्छी सोचे हमारे दिमाग का तवाफ करें. ये गोया आपने दिमाग को अल्लाह का घर बना लिया है, वरना आपका दिमाग शैतान का घर बन गया है. You can make it house of Allah, or you can make it house of shaitan, your mind as well. House of Allah, sign of house of Allah is the angels are doing the tawaf. अल्लाह के घर की निशानी ये है कि फरिश्ते तवाफ कर रहे हैं. शैतान के घर की निशानी है कि गंदी सोचें फिर रही हैं. So if bad thoughts are intentional, bad thoughts are wandering in your mind, your mind is becoming house of shaitan, mind of shaitan. If you want to make it house of Allah, Baitul Mamur, then sign is the good thoughts are prevailing and going into your mind. तो वो भी कवर किया था कल, आपको बता दिया था. Third stage which we reach, the throne of Allah. For Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the throne was the throne of Allah, but for us it is to purify our hearts. अपने दिल तक पहुंच जाना, ये अर्श इलाही तक पहुंच, अपने दिल को अर्श इलाही. वरना शैतान का भी तख्त लगता है. नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, हर दिन समुंदर पर या कहीं शैतान का तख्त, वो भी अपने अर्श पर बैठता है. शैतान और वो बैठता है, वो उसका अपना तख्त है बहुत बड़ा, अर्श. एक बंदा था इब्ने सयाद, उसको कश्फ होता था नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के ज़माने में. ही यूज्ड टू हैव कश्फ and he used to see things and things. So Sahaba thought that he is the Dajjal because he was speaking with supernatural powers, with supernatural things. He used to read people's mind. He even actually read the mind of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine. So today people become impressed. Oh, he knows what I'm thinking. He must be a saint. No. If he has sunnah in his life and deen and taqwa, that is the sign he is saint. Still is a sign, we can't know really for sure. We can't know for sure. But Prophet ﷺ visited this person who Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, we fear he is Dajjal. Prophet ﷺ, if he is Dajjal, I'll deal with him, I am living. If he is not, then actually I will leave you in protection of Allah, and Isa bin Maryam will come and deal with him. So but Prophet ﷺ visited him, and as Prophet ﷺ was approaching him, he was saying things and forecasting and telling fortunes of people, जो जिस तरह आमिल करते हैं जिन्नात और शयातीन वाले. As his mother informed him that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming, Muhammad bin Abdullah is coming, because they didn't believe he was prophet. He said, he is coming. So he became silent. He didn't. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came close to him and said to him, I have thought something in my mind, what am I thinking? आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने उससे कहा कि मैं क्या सोच रहा हूं. Prophet ﷺ said, I at that time was thinking of Surat Dukhan, which means fog, dhua, foggy smoke. Dukhan, it means smoke, like smoke of fire, smoke of foggy smoke. Prophet ﷺ said, I was thinking of Surat Dukhan. तो उसको मैंने कहा कि मैं क्या सोच रहा हूँ, तो उसने भी कहा कि दुख, yani about smoke you are thinking. And then Prophet ﷺ said, what do you see? तुम क्या देखते हो? He said, I see a throne a throne. मैं अर्श देखता हूँ, समुंदर पर अर्श देखता हूँ. यानी उसका मतलब था मैं अल्लाह को देख रहा हूँ, मैं अर्श देखता हूँ. So आप अलैहिस्सलाम ने फरमाया कि he has been led astray, meaning that he sees shaitan on his arsh. तो ये नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के ज़माने की बात है. There is a full chapter in many books of hadith on him. Today people become impressed with these things actually, that person says, I see this, I've seen stars, stars will do this. These people were actually even reading the mind of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never said, oh, it is very, very wonderful thing. He must have some goodness in him. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Because he knows that whoever is not accepts Iman and Amal Salihah and follows the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam strictly and avoid the unlawful and adopt the lawful, he is a stray person or far person away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter he flies in the air or he reads people's mind, he is telling about stars. He knows about stars, but he doesn't know about stars which Allah has sent stars really. The Prophet said, my stars are my companions. After them, if you go, you will be guided. फरमाया सहाबी कन नजूम, मेरे सहाबा सितारों की इनके पीछे, इन सितारों के पीछे ना लगो. Don't go after these stars, go after the stars of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which he said, my sahaba and awliya Allah of this ummah are the stars. उनके पीछे लगो. ये तो स्टार खुद अल्लाह की मखलूक है. They are for your service to tell you what time it is, and they have to give light. Sun is a star. तो अब सन क्या हमें क्या वो क्या कर सकते? It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it to give us light and heat. He said, sun and moon is my sign, so that you count the days, year, weeks, and also it gives you heat. It's a lamp. हम कहते हैं कि वो हमारी किस्मत का फैसला कर रहे हैं, stars. Like sun is a star, others are stars as well. Therefore, purpose there is other creation living. और मखलूक भी रह रही है, और जानदार मखलूक है. यानी in the universe there is many other creation living which we do not know, which many of the awliya Allah who can travel across the galaxies, across the universe, they've seen other creation, even likes of human being and in other forms. वो अल्लाह के निज़ाम में मखलूक चल रही है. वो सितारे को खबर भी नहीं है कोई ज़मीन है भी है या नहीं. सितारे को नहीं पता ज़मीन है या नहीं है, और हम कह रहे हो हमारी किस्मत का फैसला कर रहे हैं. Star doesn't know that there is earth existing or not, and we are thinking that it knows about our destiny. उसको तो अपना नहीं पता, हाइड्रोजन से बना हुआ है वो, आग ही आग है. तो so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yes met this person, and he said he sees a throne, and indicate what the meaning was he sees the throne of shaitan, so he's confused. So I say, some people say I see angels, I see the prophets, and I see, and but if the result is that you are going against the sunnah, doing some sins, leaving praying and just looting money, know that you are in the hand of shaitan. You're not seeing Na'uzubillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can see Allah in this life. So, what I was saying is that your heart can become the throne of shaitan. आपका दिल ये शैतान का जो है अर्श बन सकता है या अल्लाह का अर्श बन सकता है. अगर तो तज़किया नहीं हुआ, if you have not purified from the things which we mentioned yesterday, 10 things were related, 10 things which we are going to go today, then your heart is the seat of shaitan. फिर शैतान आप पर दिल पर बैठा है, हुक्मरानी वो कर रहा है. He is the ruler. When he is the ruler, your other body is going to follow the governor, the ruler, which is the heart. But here we are told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's Miraj was to go to the throne of Allah. It meaning that there should be a purity, like the throne of Allah is pure, it is light. There is the tajalliyat of Allah. So purified from all, no approach of shaitan there. Shayateen, they can't go above the heavens. So if your heart become purified, the purification of the heart, It's as though that you now you've reached the throne of Allah, you've made your heart the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that good qualities, good sifat, rahmah, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ar-Rahmanu alal arsh istafa, the most merciful established on the throne, meaning there is mercy upon quality of mercy. So if your heart have mercy as well, compassion, generosity, and thankfulness, all the qualities which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran or Rasulullah in the Sunnah, then it's as though that Allah is ruling your heart. And it's ruled by good. Otherwise it will become seat of shaitan, not the seat of actually divine remembrance or the divine relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you know that we mentioned these things, so today we'll read the next 10 things which one should avoid, which are the vices of heart. Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Page 323, number 11. Loving prestige. Rather, the person should be indifferent to his rank. Rather, the person should be indifferent to his rank in society.
This is referring to love of fame, loving prestige. Loving prestige, rather than person should be indifferent to his rank. So he wants the uhda, fame, prestige. I want to have this car. I want to be behind this house. I want to be behind this car. I should be sitting there. And basis upon that, then he boasts upon creation. Other creation, then he says they are secondary people. They are wretched people. They are mean people because I have. And that's why he gains it in the first stage. So, for this is a destructive, bad quality of the heart. इसको बहुत खतरनाक.
Number 12. Loving praise from people. Rather, the person should become indifferent to the praise of people and care only about the praise of Allah.
Have something happened to your voice or the mic? देखें.
The mic.
अच्छा mic. भाई mic सही करें. अच्छा loving praise from people, rather than the person should become indifferent to the praise of people and care only about the praise of Allah. So this is like loving fame and name. Hubbe jah jisko कहते हैं. This is the one of the mother of many evils. कि मेरा दर्जा, loving the office, hubbu riyasa, loving to be praised and honored. कि मेरी इज्जत हो, मेरे लिए नारे मारे, मेरे लिए खड़े हों. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ, the false peers and the false leaders, they want people to praise them, people to honor them, and they are doing all these things just to get that honor. They are hungry of that honor. But rather, a person should become indifferent to the praise of people. He should think, what should be your thinking? That is, am I praiseworthy in the sight of Allah and His Messenger or not? That is your point. Yes, you should think if I am praiseworthy or not, but not in the sight of people. They cannot give you anything. They cannot withhold anything from you. So your mentality should be, am I praiseworthy in the sight of Allah? What does Allah think? The way I dress, what will Rasulullah think about me? What will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala think about me? Rather than what will my friends, my college friends will think if I dress like this. They will say, oh, what you are then slave of people. You are then slave of people. So you should be thinking, your mentality should be, everything you do, what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say or think? What will Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam think about me? What will be the angels think about me? So both people are thinking about someone, what someone will think. Shaitanic people, they think what will be the sinners, what will be the shayateen say, what will be the other people who are people of dunya say about me. They think like this. Then there's the other way of thinking. What will the righteous say about me? What will they think about me? What will Shaykh Abdul Jalani say about me on the Day of Judgment? That he was a human being, he was listening to my teaching, eating gyarvi, and then actually acting shaitanically. So what will other awliya, what will anbiya say, what will the angels say who are with me? So you see, there are two parties. One, if you is the shaitanic party, either you can all your life be a slave of shaitanic people. What will they think? दुनिया क्या कहेगी? मैं मेकअप करूँगी तो मुझे जो है बहुत अच्छा समझा जाएगा, मैं ऐसे करूँगा तो मुझे ये समझेंगे, यानी शयातीन, फुसाक, कुफार. What will they think about you? Or you can spend your life in this mentality. What will angels, what will the prophets, what will the awliya, what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what will the present awliya, what do they think about me? You see, there are two ways of thinking. So here he is saying that we should be indifferent to other people's praise. Yes.
Number 13, disliking blame from people. Rather, the person should become indifferent to the blame of people and care only about the blame of Allah.
Yes. This is almost same thing. That disliking blame meaning that person will say, I am a mullah, I am this, I am backward, same thing, praise or blame. La yakhafuna lawmata laim. Regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't fear blame, criticism of people. They will criticize you. If you fear criticism, then be prepared to go to hell. Because they will criticize you to get you into hell. And if you fear criticism, what will the person on the street say? What will shaitan say about me? That why did he not follow me? And etc. etc. Then actually they won't be happy until you get into hell. So never actually fear blame. भाई लोग क्या कहेंगे, तनकीद करेंगे, they'll criticize me, they'll look down upon me. They don't have anything in their hand. They are like ant walking on under the earth. Like the ant does not possess any power to harm you or benefit you. Similarly, the people don't as well. All harm or benefit comes to you if Allah wills, then it comes to you. If He doesn't will, then nothing comes. So awliya Allah, they see the creation like ant from the point of view of benefiting or harming. So if 100 ants say, you are not look good to us, your appearance is not good, yet here to a woman, you are not looking fashionable. 100 ants. What would a person say? Be it millionaires, I am not going to live life for ants. Similarly, human beings, I am independent. Other human beings are not my masters. Why I am just actually being pressurized and following their thoughts and just going after what the ants are saying, what the animals are saying. It's like they have same power as well. From the point of view that without the will of Allah, no one can harm. A monkey or a human being is equal. If Allah wants to harm, through a mosquito, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala killed Nimrud. Through the birds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala killed the elephants and through Ababil, if you will. So from the point of view of harming or benefiting, all creation is equal. Because without the will of Allah, nothing can happen. If Allah does, fire burns, but without the will of Allah, it did not burn. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam or the great Tabi Hazrat Abu Muslim Khawlani rahimahullah, who lived in the time of Hazrat Umar in Yemen, Hazrat Uwais Qarni, and they were both actually friends. He was a friend of Hazrat Uwais Qarni, and he lived in Yemen as well. And in his time, also a person in the Sahaba's time, Sahaba were living Hazrat Umar, a person who claimed to be a false prophet. As I said, they are false gods. Some say, oh, don't criticize peers. We are not criticizing peers. We are criticizing shaitanic peers, false peers. It's like we say, one should know, la ilaha, there is no true God or a false God. And a person say, oh, don't criticize. Don't say they're false gods. There are false gods. That's why we say La ilaha. कि कोई माबूद हक नहीं सिवाय अल्लाह. They are false gods, they are false prophets, they are false being posing as friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are false ulama of dunya, and they are false believers, like called hypocrites, are false believers. So when we in our speeches and the mashayikh they do, or we following them actually do, we are not criticizing the people who are doing good works, who are righteous people in their aqidah, in their sunnah, in sharia, and they're serving people, not them. And these people who say don't criticize, it seems that there is something wrong with them, that they have a problem. Because they should be happy the false ones are being criticized, we are not. So when they say why you are doing this, means that somewhere their benefit there is also coming under danger. And they say, oh, don't do this, because people will not get that type of money and that type of honor, and we are keeping the people in darkness, and if they know it, then they won't give this to us, respect and money. So at the time Aswad al-Ansi Lanati claimed claimed prophethood falsely in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Prophet passed away, and then it was Hazrat Umar's time and Hazrat Abu Bakr's time. People there, true Muslims, they said, we are not going to believe you. Some actually, they became apostate, they became kuffar after believing. So imagine in those days as well, tests are tested every time and place. So those people living in the time of Sahaba, they were severely tested. Many people turned back from Islam and they became the believer of this false prophet, and he showed many miraculous magicians, magical things and tricks. This person, Hazrat Abu Muslim Khawlani, rahmahullah, he also called him, he didn't believe, and people knew, the people followed him as well as a scholar, a tabi buzurg the. उसने कहा मैं इनको जला दूंगा, आग जलाओ, ये मेरी नबूवत को नहीं मानता, इसको मैंने सजाए मौत दे दिया, I have condemned him to death with fire because he doesn't believe in my prophethood. So Hazrat Abu Muslim Khawlani rahmahullah was put in a big fire, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a garden for him, that fire. And people were looking, all the people of Yemen, yes, now he'll be burned, he's this and this, and the believers were looking as well, what happens. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him, he came out of the fire in fresh and not even was sweating. And then the followers of this Aswad al-Ansi dispersed, and he actually was killed. But this person, when visited Hazrat in the Masjid Nabwi in Medina Sharif, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu sat beside him, and he said, who are you? He said, where are you from? He said, I am from Yemen. He said, I have heard that there have been this incident, this karamat, that which in the previous nation it happened with Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Allah showed the miracle for the follower of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this ummah for someone in Yemen. How do you know about him? Do you know about the false prophet? Do you know about it? He said, yes, I know about him. But he didn't still say, I am the person. हमें थोड़ा भी किसी को पैसा मिल गया, किसी को ख्वाब आ गई है, वो कहता है जब तक डंडोरा ना पीटा राम नहीं आना. Everyone knows. गाड़ी है, अब जब तक दिखाना नहीं है उसको राम नहीं आना. और भी कोई चीज, anything actually. This means that there is love of fame, name, hungry. A person is slave still. वो कह रहे हाँ मैं जानता हूँ उसको. But he didn't tell. Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him firasat, insight, light. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to speak, meaning ilham upon Hazrat Umar. Prophet sallallahu said, in my ummah, previous prophets and nations and ummahs, they were people who were not prophets, but Allah spoke to them In my ummah, if it is Umar, radiallahu ta'ala. Hazrat Umar said, if I am not wrong, I think it is you are the person. Hazrat Umar ने फरमाया अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूँ तुम ही वो हो. उसने कहा हाँ अमीरुल मोमिनीन मैं ही हूँ. फिर हज़रत उमर उसको लेके गए अपना मस्जिद नबवी में. सहाबा उसको ज़ियारत कर रहे थे उस शख्स की. सहाबा रिज़वान वर डूइंग ज़ियारा एंड हगिंग हिम कि भाई ये वो शख्स जिसको आग से अल्लाह ने बचाया. एक झूठे नबूवत के दावे का खात्मा हुआ इनकी वजह से. तो ये होते हैं अपना मामलात. सो we were actually
Number 14, feeling that one will live forever in the world, rather one should remember one's imminent death often, at least 20 times a day. And number 15, disliking death, rather the person should know that the world is a prison for the believer and a paradise for the disbeliever, and the next world is a paradise for the believer and a prison for the disbeliever. Number 16, looking up to rich people because they have wealth and looking down on poor people because they do not have wealth. Rather, the person should view people equally regardless of their economic standing. Number 17, forgetting about one's own faults, especially when it is accompanied by being busied with other people's faults. Rather, the person should know that he is imperfect by the standards of the deen. Number 18, fearing punishment from other than Allah and hoping for reward from other than Allah. Rather, the person should know that all punishment and reward in this world and the next is only in Allah's control. Number 19, persisting in acts of disobedience without any intention in the heart to repent. Rather, the person should always have an intention to repent. And number 20, being unaware that Allah is present and watching. Rather, the person should continuously be aware of Allah's presence and His watching over His creation. Footnote 2647, don't be proud of the fact that you are practicing the deen, as such is an act of conceit and leads to arrogance. The real root of all of these 20 diseases is the heart is the egocentric view of the world that people are naturally at. It is only when the person is able to break free from experiencing the world from an ego center, i.e., this view is replaced by a non-egocentric, Allah-centric view of creation, will he be able to completely avoid the diseases of the heart. As long as the person is still at the center of his own life's experiences, he can only attempt to avoid these diseases of the heart by changing his modes of thought when the disease starts occurring or is already present.
So the Shaykh Abdul Wahid, if you look at the top, he has mentioned, know that the root of these ills is loving to lead, meaning it's called love of fame and name. He says that the root of all these 20 diseases lies in one only, and that is loving, that having a view that all the world is revolving around me, I am the center of it. How I am feeling, what people are doing to me, what they are not doing to me, what will happen to me, I am this, I am that. Meaning from your point of view, if you look at the world, you will want to have fame and name and honor these things. He's saying until that you become with the view of Allah-centric view, that Allah is center of the creation, He is the creator, and I am His servant, one of His servants, and I should see the world how He wants me to see it as a servant. And then really only a person can come away from these hearts. So remember, this is very key. He has mentioned, after mentioning 20, he has mentioned one reason for all, and this has also two parts which will come in. You want to read the note 2650.
There are two basic types of thoughts that lead the heart of the egocentric person into one of the above 20 unlawful states. A thought that makes leadership amongst people, being ahead of people in some quality, seem desirable, loving to lead. B. A thought that makes the material things in the world seem desirable, loving the world.
So these things, egocentric view, nafs, nourishes from these two things: loving to lead, love of fame, and loving the world, the love of dunya. These are the two thoughts which leads to all these diseases, actually. If a person have this, then he doesn't need anything else to be destroyed, because all evil is going to come. Because Prophet ﷺ said in one of the hadiths, Hubbu dunya ra'su kullu khatiya. The love of dunya is mother of all the faults and mistakes and they come. And love of dunya and the love to lead in the dunya, love of fame is the same thing, but he has described for making it more easier. So these two thoughts, love of fame, and that's what you heard in the message of Brother Ilyas, what today politicians, be other people, most of them be some ulama, false peers, they just want their own projection and money, and they are after their own fame and name, and not interested in people. That like in the vision, if I mentioned that people are hungry and they are not actually giving them any preference, but rather they give rich people, politicians and others who they think we can get fame and name from, and will be in pictures with them, is kissing their hands and doing all these things. To them, is that actually a bad sign for them. So Prophet ﷺ is not happy and was not happy in his lifetime and nor now with these type of people, because they are not giving the ummah the preference. Like he, alayhi salatu wasalam, said, "Oh Allah, let me live while in the state of miskini की हालत में मुझे जिंदा रख, मस्कीनों में मुझे जिंदा रख, उन्हीं में मुझे मौत अता फरमा, उन्हीं के साथ मेरा हशर फरमा." और आज का पीर आलम कहता है, मुझे भी अमीर बनाओ, अमीरों में ही मुझे रख और अमीरों में ही मैं मरूं. So this is quite opposite things. आज का बंदा ये कहता है, मैं भी अमीर हूँ, मेरे इर्द गिर्द सारे में वो भी अमीर हूँ, मेरे फ्रेंड भी, और रहूँ भी उनमें और मरूँ भी उनमें. तो मरोगे उनमें तो उठोगे भी उन्हीं में. सिंपल एज दैट. तो ये दो चीज़ें उन्होंने बताई कि लव ऑफ द वर्ल्ड एंड लविंग टू लीड एंड फेम एंड नेम, दे आर द मदर ऑफ evils. So if these things come in you, that he mentioned some solution, but really solution is to go to the third stage of the purification course, and these diseases are actually then treated there. But for theory, we are covering theory, so you can learn something at least. Yes, Brother Usman.
The person traveling the path should suppress all thoughts that fit into the above two categories. If he suppresses such thoughts, then his heart will be unable to go into one of the above 20 unlawful states. This is because thoughts have been made the pilot of the heart.
Yes, this refers to that these two are doors to all evil. If you don't enter the door, you're not going to enter the house. If you enter these two doors, then the others are waiting for you. Other evil things are waiting for you. That's why one Buzurg said that all evil and vices and sins are locked into a room, and its door is love of dunya, and its key is love of fame and name. सारी बुराइयों को बंद करके उसका दरवाज़ा दुनिया की मोहब्बत और उसकी चाबी खोलने की लव ऑफ फेम एंड नेम, अपनी हुब्बे जाब, मेरी इज्जत हो दुनिया में, ये उसकी चाबी है. लव ऑफ दुनिया इज अदर. बस वो खोल लिया, समझे कि सारी बुराई शैतानियत आप पर आ गई. That's happened with Shaitan as well. What killed him spiritually? What made him lose spiritually? क्या आया था उसमें? देखिए ना, एक ही चीज आई उसमें, हुब्बे जा, the love to be honored. You see, when the love of honor came, उसी से तकब्बर, उसी से हसद, उसी से फिर अल्लाह के हुक्म के नाफरमानी और उसी से सजदा ना करना, सारी फिर चीजें उससे निकली. But the root code was feeling I am great and I should be honored. Love of him. वही जो फरमा रहे हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने जड़ को पकड़ा है. Know that the root of all these is love of fame and glory and loving to lead. ये बहुत पते की बात है. अब जिसको ये समझ आ गई वो इन गुनाहों की तरफ जा ही नहीं सकता. Because he can stop them before going, because he stays out of that palace of shaitan, which the door of it is the love of dunya. The key is loving yourself, meaning thinking you are great and having love of fame and name. तो चाबी बस ना लगाएं, दरवाज़ा नहीं खुलेगा. दरवाज़ा वो लव ऑफ दुनिया है. और शैतान को भी इसी चीज़ ने तबाह किया है. अबू जहल को भी इसी चीज़ ने तबाह किया. He said that I know that the Prophet ﷺ is the messenger of Allah. He is not a liar, na'udhu billah. But if we accept his leadership, then where will my leadership go? Where will my leadership go? Or Abdullah bin Ubay ibn Salul, the head of Munafiq, who outwardly used to practice Islam, uska bhi yahi, his problem was that as well. He was to become a ruler of Medina, of Yasrib, before the migration of the Prophet ﷺ. He was to become the ruler. He was to be crowned as king of the tribes. But when Prophet ﷺ came, people accepted him as the ruler. So he became that I wanted, my status has gone to Rasulullah ﷺ. Muhammad ﷺ has taken my seat. So he said, now I can't fight him, so I'll become Muslim from outside, and inside I'll try to harm him. So he developed a followership of Munafiqeen of Medina, and they existed. But what I'm saying to you, these people are gone. You don't become one of them. And they were there, Abu Jahl, Shaitan, or Abdullah bin Ubay, because of this love of fame. सारा झगड़ा ही ये होता है. वो आप सुनते रहते हैं उलमा की भी, पीरों के, मेरी कुर्सी उधर क्यों नहीं है, मेरा नाम पोस्टर पे क्यों नहीं है, मेरा जो फोटो अखबार में क्यों नहीं आया. And some people say they even select doors to enter conference rooms, meaning they said, I want to enter from this door, not from the side door. No one will know I have come. And they do mention that मुझे उस दरवाजे से ले आके आना है. भाई वो आम दरवाजे से क्या पता चलेगा. And if they don't, then they say we are never going to attend your jalsa now. पैसे ना दो फिर भी वो कहते हम नहीं आएंगे. If you don't give the money, most of them actually they say we are not going to come. 100-200 pounds should be in our pocket. Then we'll utter 200 sentences. Otherwise, actually, you're not going to hear from us. Acha ji.
Based upon the thoughts that the person's mind actively has, his heart will enter into a particular state. Thus, each blameworthy state of the heart can be avoided by suppressing the thoughts that lead to it, and each praiseworthy state of the heart can be acquired by fostering the thoughts that lead to it. If the person has not yet learned how to suppress thoughts, then he may use the thought redirection method.
That is good, mashallah. So what he is saying is that there are other thoughts and levels which lead to these high qualities. That's why, for example, in our tariq, there are 10 levels of humbleness, some levels of ikhlas, some levels of thankfulness, because these are thoughts basically. They lead to that quality, and one day they lead to that high praiseworthy quality, these levels which are on the tariq, which are on the sheets. Similarly, there are degrees of the prayers, there are degrees of zikr and other things. So meaning this hard work which we could have not done ourselves, or if we would have done, it will be very, very extremely hard. We need lot of knowledge, wisdom and mastery over deen and tariq. But our mashayikh have done the work for us, and they have presented it in a plate, and we just have to follow, and then inshallah we get to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Read note now 2651.
At the end of the day, the real cure for bringing the external and internal parts of the servant in accordance with the laws of the deen is to cry with tears and sobs to Allah, expressing one's needs to be guided and put on the straight path. As long as the servant relies on himself or thinks that he will be able to reach Allah through his own efforts alone, the servant will not reach the goal.
ठीक है, यहीं रहें, stay in this page. So this is at the end, it is a very, very important part. Again, he says, end of this song, that it is Allah who, through His grace and mercy, is going to take you to Him and give you His pleasure. With our merely effort, we are not going to reach there. So we are talking about Miraj. You see, we're talking about Miraj. So we'll go into that after. The concept of Miraj, as it has been mentioned to you, yes, this, that the person goes to the Buraq and the Buraq takes him further and he goes. But where does it all begin from? The Quran says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده. It is Allah who have taken His servant to Miraj. It never said Rasulullah went. So there is the idea, there is the belief, there is the secret, there is the principle that in your heart and mind should be, it's Allah who is going to take and facilitate me, not me. I'll do whatever Allah tells me to do. It is Allah's responsibility to take me there. So it gets a lot of pressure off your mind. I have to do it, I have to reach it. If I do not, what's going to happen? No, all we do, if we are asked to, like Rasulullah did, he was asked to wake up, he woke up. He was asked to go to the Hatim, he went there. He was asked to mount the Buraq, he mounted the Buraq. But it was Allah who was taking. So on our own, we can never reach Allah. Have this belief in your mind always. We can never reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without He taking and facilitating our journey through His grace and mercy. Because there will be shortcoming in us. There will be faults always in us, no matter where we reach. There will be shortcoming. We will fall short to the glory of Allah. Then how we reach Allah? That Allah, due to His fadl and grace, picks up the servant and takes him to them. ये बहुत अहम बात है. उन्होंने क्या कह दी, as long as the servant relies on himself or thinks that he will be able to reach Allah through his own effort alone, the servant will not reach the goal ever. फिर बंदा तबाह हो जाएगा. So what should you do? Like he's saying, the servant should, at the end of the day, the real cure for bringing the external and internal parts of the servant in accordance with the Sharia or Deen is to cry and meaning rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expressing one's need to be guided and be steadfast and be put on the straight path, and then doing whatever he has mentioned before. Adopt the Aqidah, the Fiqh, the Tawbah, endeavor and put effort to avoid sins, to adopt Sunnah, to convey the message, and leave it, the result to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am doing according to little bit of my ability. They are still shortcoming, but I relied upon you to take me to yourself and to your pleasure, not my effort. But I'll try until death, doing whatever I can. Ye wo keh rahe hain. And the other important thing which he has mentioned, which we left, this method of redirection, you would have gone through of the thought, कि बुरे वसवसों को कैसे रोकना है. So he is saying here, the principle of redirection should be that when the person is having thoughts that lead to bad states of the heart, he should actively introduce new thoughts in his mind. Instead of fighting with it, you introduce new thoughts. So instead of like you put a pornographic channel on the TV and trying hard not to watch it, it will be very, very difficult. You're looking at there and saying, oh no, I don't want, this is no good. Change the channel. That's what redirection means. You redirect the channel, bring another channel. So although bad, but you are looking at something else now. So that's what he says here. Introduce new thoughts into the screen of mind that concern a totally different subject. he may start to think about flowers, he may start to think about weather, mathematical concept, the laws of physics, roti, bread, actually his work, his law, children, earth, anything lawfully, no matter a game, whatever is it, but change the channel. If you be on the same channel, then it will come more and more. The thought is going to come more, and because the channel is there, as soon as you are going, seeing, I don't want to see it, this is bad, you are going more into it. But if you change with the remote control, you bring new channels on your screen, mind of screen. The previous one will go away automatically. So that's why he said the redirection method is one of the best method to avoid waswasa. So in a waswasa comes about Allah, instead of saying, oh, why I'm thinking Allah will condemn me to death, Allah will curse me if I'm thinking bad. Instead of saying this, you think about the Prophet ﷺ, you think about the dunya, think about your work. It's going to go away then. Because the channel has been changed, going to fade away. It's like people have hiccups, you see. If you focus on hiccup, they never go away. I'm having. And when they go away, well, you forget them. When you think about something else, they might go and you would not feel. So ye bhi waswasa jo hai, it is like a mental hiccup, shaitanic hiccup which comes. And if you focus at it more, you'll find it's coming and coming. And as soon as you actually think about something else, you might not notice when it has gone away. Only after 5 minutes, yes, I had hiccup 5 minutes ago. Now they're not there. So ye hota hai redirection. Now this is one part of his poem, which he has mentioned how to purify yourself. The second part, which starts from page 325, is how to decorate yourself with the goodness qualities. In all. You see, this is only one, this is the tazkiyah part of it. This is the purification part of it. And this is the ihsan, where you decorate yourself with the goodness, the good qualities and things. Initially, he mentions that the second part of the path is called decking out with the good. This part may be practiced simultaneously with the first part or after it as well, emptying out the bad. If the person traveling the path does not have, because the first sentence says, stay with a teacher who knows the ways of the path. Stay with the teacher. At the top it says, the song begins with, stay with the teacher who knows the ways about the path. This is very important, meaning he should know whole of the concept of Miraj and the journey to Allah. But if he is paid only to do bay'ah and only to say, I'll intercede on you, I'll give you taweez, I'll blow on you, and things like this he does, he's not actually a teacher. He's just actually a witch doctor. Like witch doctors are, they do cure things, and it's a worldly fear, like a physician. If he's doing even rightly, he's a physician curing people's headaches and things, but not the person who take you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For that, a person need a teacher. The signs are mentioned here. Firstly, he should have right beliefs. Secondly, he should be practicing himself. Thirdly, he should know the path. You should go and ask Peer Sahab, Alim Sahab, Hazrat Sahab, you are going to take me to Allah. How are you going to take me to Allah? What are the stations? What are the what are the signposts on the way? What are the stages? What are the conditions? How I am going to know where I am in relation to Allah's close? How you are going to help me? Ask him first this. Like you buy anything, you first ask these things to people, that how, you buy only that. And now you are buying hell or paradise. Don't jump into it without asking. So that is why Prophet ﷺ is not happy with those people that who are posing as that they are to guide people and they're not doing. They're sitting on mazarat, some of them, some are true as I say, mazarat, not even following Sharia, just getting chadars and hadiyas and shirinis, and they're not concerned with people are praying, people are away from deen. They don't teach anything about fiqh, anything about aqidah, anything about the path to Allah. They're just there, they're listening to their praise, kissing hands, and that's all they're doing, giving people. And people are coming, asking dua and taweez, and they're going. So it was their responsibility to guide. So firstly he says you need a teacher, but it's a teacher. Because at the bottom he says, if a person cannot find a teacher that fits the above criteria, you can read yourself, the criteria is already mentioned here, then he can choose one that is still sincere but has shortcoming. Please note that it is better to have no teacher at all than to have a bad teacher who misleads one. So a person is better than without a teacher. He follows just the Sharia and Sunnah and simple awliya and sulaha instruction, better than to have a bad teacher who is going to keep you in confusion. Like in the vision, you have heard from the brother that these people themselves are confused. They don't know themselves. If you tell them the tariq, oh, they might say, yes, I have never come across this. So what have you been doing 40, 50 years teaching people? If you don't know the basics of the path to purification, and that was your field, you're supposed to be specialized. A person who is specialized in dentistry, he's supposed to be specialized in dentistry. He should be cured everything. And to him, it's a news. He is shown a tooth from back of the from the mouth, like a jaw, and he says, yeah, I'm seeing it first time, this shape I've never seen. So then what speciality he has? So that's how these people are, that they have become specialists of hearts and are not at a normal level as GP. They're not at that level as well. They don't know the theory, they don't know practice, and they're operating on people's hearts and minds, taking them to hell rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, yes, Brother Swan, if you read note 2653 now.
If the person travelling the path does not have an experienced and qualified living human male Muslim guide or teacher, the chances are slim that he will ever reach the goal. Nevertheless, people vary in the amount of guidance they need. Some people need to stay with the teacher for only a couple of days, and then they work independently afterwards and finish fine. Other people need to stay with the teacher for many years under his constant direct supervision until they are finished. The actual amount of time that the person needs to stay with the teacher depends on his ability to learn through other means, for example, listening to audio recordings and reading written materials, and his ability to be objective, i.e., view himself as an unrelated third person. As for the actual amount of time required to finish the path, i.e., to reach Allah, as the path keeps going on afterwards onto higher levels, it also varies from person to person. People who try very hard and have an innate talent for the path can finish it as little as 2 full years. People who are more lax or do not have an innate talent for the path may require 40 or more years to finish.
Okay. So this firstly mentions that you need a teacher, and then other things are mentioned as well. That some people need to stay a short while with the teacher until they reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they can work independently, like our mashayikh. They say that if you have learned the path from us and you have learned how to teach it, go and do it. Now I have people, brothers who learn from me, but they're always reliant upon me, even though they have gone through it, and I've asked, yeah, you can actually go and teach other, meaning as much as you are allowed, go and teach others. But they still come back to me, or for example, relying upon me that I am doing all the work, I am doing the majalis and things. No, it is being said that you go and do the work independently, and if you need guidance, you can ask mashwara, you can consult. That's how the deen is going to spread. That's how the tariq is going to spread. So the true awliya and sulaha, they make people independent of them. They say, you go and do your thing after you have done. The others, they stay, you have to live with us for until death. To have a new peer actually is like having a new husband. You know, they manipulate people. Don't go to that. उसके पास ना जाना, उसके पास ना. ये तो नवा खसम समझ तू कर ले. While this was not the concept, the Sahaba and previous awliya Allah, who were the students of the Sahaba, they used to go to different Sahaba, is one might learn. Many awliya had 200 mashayikh like Hazrat Datta Ali Hajweri and all these people. They had so many mashayikh they went to and learned from. It is only the false ones who say that don't go to this, don't go to there. Yes, if they are stopping you from going because they are not qualified, they are false people, then that's good. But if they are doing the work of deen and you want to go and see, take. But one should follow the prescription of one teacher and visit and benefit from others. And they shouldn't stop. So some people, so they need only to stay for a short while. Other people, normally, if they are very, very regular, in 2 years, they can complete at the necessary parts of the course. And some people, as they say, they take 40, 50 years because they are going slow, falling back, going forward. But still, at least they are on the motorway to Jannah. If they die during that, inshallah, they will succeed. But they don't finish. But I want, Shaykh say, we want you to pass all these levels and the purification of mind and heart and get into the closeness of Allah, which is the actual purpose. Don't only keep wandering in the skies. Go to the one who have created the skies as well. That was your goal, to reach Allah, not the skies. And you're just happy doing little bit of zikr and, wandering here. ठीक है, you are on the way to Allah, but the real purpose was actually to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because according to that your status will be given in Jannah. So the actual amount of time that will be there. So many of these people, false people, they don't authorize people to teach the path. They can, जिसको मैं खलीफा बनाऊं वही खलीफा होगा, और वो होगा जो मेरी खिदमत ज़्यादा करे, पैसे ज़्यादा दे, अच्छा वो मेरा खलीफा. If someone serves them well, ये लो खिलाफत, ये लो खिलाफत. That is falsehood. Nor they have anything, nor the paper have anything. It's like a fake university offering certificates of PhDs. Whoever pays the money, हाँ आप भी ले लो degree. Yes, it will look like a degree, but there will be no skill when you will be put into a job. You have done a degree in nuclear science and you are made actually to work in a nuclear plant, you will destroy the world, then you will know. So similarly, if you say I am qualified and I have a khilafat and you are committing sins yourself and you are committing major acts of disobedience and you have become a money-making machine, then you should know that this is all false and this is all actually you are being conned, these things. तो वो खिलाफतें भी नकली है, कुछ नहीं. पहले हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का तरीका, लेकिन आप अलैहिस्सलाम ने किसी एक को खलीफा नहीं बनाया अपना. Otherwise the Sahaba would have never discussed that who is going to be Khalifa after him. If Prophet ﷺ said Abu Bakr is my Khalifa or Ali is Khalifa, because he said all my Sahaba are my representatives who have learned deen from me. They are guides, they are nujum. So any person who comes on the tariqah Muhammadiyah, they learn the path, they walk the path, and they learn how to teach the path. They can go and teach others. They don't need to be, as I say, I don't say I am Shaykh. You can be consultants as well, Mushir. आप मशवरा दूसरे मशवरा करें, आपसे लोग मशवरा करें और वो फ़ायदा दें उनको. You are serving them. तो ये होता है. दूसरों में ये है कि वो 20-20 साल हो गया, 40-40 साल किसी को नहीं वो दे रहे, क्योंकि they want to keep control over them. Always they are dependent upon us. भाई जब भी वो आज़ाद हो गए तो फिर तो वो सारी शीरनी जो हमें आती है, it will be divided into so many. I have 500 disciples, तो मेरे जो 500 पाउंड मुझे वीक के मिलते थे, 1 पाउंड आएगा मेरी तरफ, क्योंकि लोग उनको देंगे. So that's why they don't want to give them independence. They want to keep them हाँ हम हैं, हमारे बगैर कुछ नहीं हो सकता. रद्दे जाओगे, मरदूद हो जाओ, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं पता, तुम डमी की तरह से पीछे चलते आओ. Yes, that's good until you have reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are independent. Shaykh Abu Madian Ghaus Maghribi rahmahullah Undalasi, the teacher of, the great grand teacher of Shaykh Abul Hassan Ali Shazli, and one of the students of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmahullah. One of his disciples said to him that, "Oh my master, something is a veil between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It comes again and again. There's something between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've done everything which you told me, but I'm not really getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence as I am supposed to be." The Shaykh said to him that, "I have looked into your situation. Now there is no obstacle between Allah and you except me. So now forget me and you will reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was the bridge. Don't stay on the bridge now. Go on the other side." तो उन्होंने, मुझे भूल जाओ, अब मेरा तो काम था तुम्हें वहां तक पहुंचाना, आप पहुंचा दिया, अब मेरे साथ रहोगे तो फिर जो है वो आगे नहीं जाओगे. अब मैंने तुम्हें तालीमात दे दी है, पहुंचा दिया, अब तुम जानो, तुम्हारा खुदा जाने, बस खत्म. तो वो अल्लाह तक पहुंच गए. तो ये हैं बुजुर्ग, सही बुजुर्ग जो है. और जो दूसरे हैं वो कहते हैं मरते दम तक तुम मेरे मोहताज रहोगे, क़यामत वाले दिन में मैं ही तन्नू लेके जाना आगे. सो क़यामत वाले दिन भी मेरे पास साथ तुमने जाना. मेरे दिन दे, इट इज़ अ टूल ऑफ कंट्रोल फॉर देम, मैनिपुलेट. रादर द ट्रू औलिया, यस, they don't themselves say, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them karama and ijazat of shafa. They'll take many people, hundreds and thousands of people. Similarly, ulama who practice their knowledge, they will take hundreds and hundreds of people with them. They have a person who done a real hajj, he will be given shafa for 400 people, but not hajj like us, like we do. I think we'll have problem going ourselves rather than taking 400 people with us. तो हज भी जो है वो सीखने से आता है. Okay, so this is about the teacher. So now go on the other page, 326. So people who do not have a teacher in the path should still try their best to obey Allah and stay away from His disobedience while sending durood and salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this will be their path. Either it will take them to the teacher or they will be able to reach the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. वो हल बता रहे हैं. He is making a solution that if a person doesn't, until you don't find a teacher, what should you do? Until you don't find a teacher, what should you do? He said, then you should correct your aqaid, beliefs and fiqh, and trust practicing the do's and stop from the don'ts, follow the sunnah and read Durood Sharif abundantly and keep praying to Allah. Allah will lead you to a teacher or will actually facilitate your journey to Himself. No कोई बुजुर्ग नहीं मिल रहा सही तो फिर उसका ये 2 रकात सलातुल हाजत अल्लाह से मांगो, Allah guide me to the man, to the sheikh, the teacher of the time, or the whoever person is who can guide me. Now he mentions the jobs of the teacher. For example, he starts from he will save you from the pitfalls. This should be the job of the teacher. He saves you from pitfalls, falling meaning. तो अब के जो है बहुत सारे वो नहीं ये जॉब नहीं कर रहे. वो कहते हमारा सुराख जो है वो भरो बाल से. That side you save us from poverty. That side we saving you. हमें गरीबी से बचाओ. So note 2655 जी Brother Usman.
One of the teacher's jobs is to keep the student from wandering off in the wrong direction and becoming prey to the dangers, pitfalls of the path. For example, becoming too extreme in one's practice of the path, acquiring a mental illness. This can easily happen to people who try too hard to control their thoughts, losing one's deen altogether, even though one entered the path trying to come closer to Allah, going into a coma or other state of unconsciousness, etc.
These things are the pitfalls which a person can go, like we mentioned, going to extremes. The teacher is going to, because he is conscious, he is going to keep you moderate. So a person should follow the teacher in zikr. If he says stop or temporarily doing zikr, person will stop the zikr. And actually, then he will benefit. because people will become sometimes mentally ill who tried so hard to try their thoughts, they're fighting their waswas, they will develop mental illness, they will become mentally disturbed people. I said basic idea is just redirect the thought. Plus if it's unintentional, you are not sinful anyway, so you don't need to worry about it, just live your life. But it's the teacher, when you present the situation to him, that's what one of his tasks, one of his jobs which he should be doing. Yes, and next is, and he should save you from Allah's wrath, 26:56. Yeah.
The sincere, honest student will be shown mercy by Allah, saved from His wrath, by his mere association with a true teacher of the path.
A person will be shown mercy from Allah because of the association with the teacher, and sometimes the harshness or discipline of teacher is hard, that will lead you to the mercy of Allah in the hereafter. यानी मशाइख की सख्ती वो अल्लाह की रहमत के से बंदा मुस्तहिक बनेगा कि यहाँ तो सख्ती है, ये नहीं करना, वो नहीं करना, ऐसे करो, ये कुर्बानी दो, बट आखिरत में आपको यही रहमत बन जाएगी आपके लिए.
The first of two major functions of the teacher of the path is to point his students to or remind them of Allah until they remember Allah in every situation of their life. He may do this by verbal advice, physical example, or by using his spiritual will to bring the student into a state of remembering Allah.
Now he is talking about the objectives of the path, the four pillars of the throne. Presence of Allah, and to give the preference of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's commands. He's saying this is the role to achieve these objectives. That was the role of the teacher. And to bring him so that he give preference to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his sunnah and his compassion. These are the four objectives or four roles which the teacher should perform to bring in the student. अगर वो ये नहीं कर रहा तो फिर वो खयानत कर रहा है. He is doing khiyana, he is being dishonest, and he will be very severely answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And people like this, sometimes their repentance is not accepted because they have misled hundreds and thousands of people, innocent people. तो अल्लाह पाक फरमाता है भाई इतने लोगों को गुमराह कर दिया तुमने, अब खुद कहते हो मैं तौबा करनी है. कई दफ़ा तौबा की तौफीक भी नहीं होती ऐसे लोगों को. तो डरना चाहिए. So the two major functions of the teacher, one is this, are they saying, to bring this. ठीक है, अब यहीं ख़त्म करते हैं, कल करेंगे. आप भी थक रहे हैं ऐसा ऐसा, वरना मेरा ख्याल था ये हम ख़त्म ही कर देते दूसरा सॉन्ग भी. It is, if not then inshallah another time we can do, but now you can ask question.
If anybody would like to ask any questions, okay, Jazakallah.
So, I was just wondering, in the past that you've stated that zikr is the power. So we have to do the zikr while we're sitting on the floor, but if the tashahhud position does get uncomfortable, you can change position. But even then, if you're still finding it uncomfortable sitting on the floor, are we able to sit on a chair, or is it correct to do mujahida and try to remain on the floor?
A person who starts zikr, they start from tashahhud position, then they feel uncomfortable, they can move their, meaning they can change their position. But if they could sit there until they can bear. If it's becoming unbearable, then they can sit on the chair or on the sofa and do dhikr there. Like even this flexibility is also for prayers, which is a farz dhikr. Salah is farz dhikr. If you can't pray standing, you see people sitting on chair, they are praying. People sitting down, they are praying. And this is only nafal dhikr. But wrong thing would be when you are able to do and you don't do, then you won't fully benefit from it. Because there is respect and adab for everything. But it is your need, then no harm in there. Inshallah, you can lie down, even do zikr. So some people say, I have been missing my zikr in the last 5 days. Why? I've been ill lying on the bed. But I said, you had more time to do zikr there. Firstly, they were disappointment, disappointment. Now you had more time. अब तो आपको और ज़्यादा करना चाहिए था. So there's no excuse for that. Meaning, sometimes a person have free time or they're ill, they have more time really now to be in remembrance of Allah, and they should remember Allah. Maybe they die in that illness. मैं तो the Shaykh and the teachers, or I myself, are just giving you the minimum to progress. But really, the matter is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you should be concerned for your own hereafter. The teachers, like parents, are just helping. They're saying, the son, you go to school, college, you'll get a good career and thing. But if they are not concerned themselves, they are the losers at the end of the day. They should actually be concerned for their well-being themselves. The teachers can't make them successful if they don't want to be. Because remember, you are not doing no favor to the teacher, but the teacher serves you. You don't serve the teacher. Teachers serve people. People don't serve the teacher, because teacher is the key. Key serves you. You don't serve the key. चाबी जो है वो आपकी खिदमत कर, जब आप चाहते हैं दरवाजे खोलते हैं. तो इसी तरह उस्ताज मशाइख वो चाबियां होते हैं, वो अल्लाह की राह में जाने के लिए दरवाजे खोलते हैं बंद. तो वो खिदमत कर रहे हैं आपकी रात दिन. आप नहीं कर रहे खिदमत उनकी. यू आर डूइंग फेवर टू योरसेल्फ. आप तो अपना कर रहे हो. तो वो आप उस यानी दे आर डूइंग खिदमत. डॉक्टर बैठा है इलाज करने के लिए, तो आप उसकी खिदमत नहीं कर रहे, वो आपकी खिदमत कर रहे हैं. But unfortunately, people think somehow that they are the serving and the teacher is to be served. No, you are being served. And the teacher is like a servant. वो तो खिदमत कर रहा है. वो तो अपने मामलात आगे पीछे, sleep, wakeful, many things you have to actually sacrifice and do things. तो ये होता है. मसलन, for example, I give you example, not of myself, but our mashayikh, we used to see them like this, like for example, live example. मसलन हम बैठे बयान कर रहे हैं, आप थक गए हैं. When I go in the room, I have a list of people to see. तो मैं तो असर तक जो है मेरा तो बयान इसी तरह जारी रहे जिस तरह मैं यहाँ कर रहा हूँ. Because they will come up with problem. I have to be alert what they are saying, and it is more even serious their personal matters. तो मेरी कहानी तो जारी रहेगी, असर के बाद भी जारी रहेगी, मगरिब का इशा के बाद. For me, sitting on this chair, sitting in the room is almost equal. इसी तरह जो हमारे मशाइख करते थे, दूसरे को तो रेस्ट कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं. And then you have to do your own amal as well. अपने अमल भी करने हैं और अपना बैलेंस रखना है. So really, a person should see that we are servants of Deen. They are serving people. People are not serving them. And they have their own problems as well, difficulties. उनके भी अपने बच्चे हैं, होते हैं, अपना काम है, काज है, बीमारियां हैं, सर दर्द है, दूसरी सारी चीजें हैं. They don't become angels. Rather, they are in more problem and more tests come to them than even normal people. But only thing is they don't actually blow in the trumpet. हाय मर गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया. हमारा ये छोड़ा होता है कि भाई उसका पूरा ऐलान करते हैं. तो ये चीज़ होती है. So you can inshallah do zikr whilst you are sitting on the chair or bed, but you cannot do it without excuse.
Just a reminder for brothers, if you please ask questions related to today's topic as well. Thank you.
Referring to the qualifications of a teacher on page 325, it's got some concepts of, for example, fana.
What I have said regarding that is the last words of mine. That's why you say the books cannot teach you. So the things which I have said, they are the qualification. All other things you'll be confused. Necessary things, that is the purpose of me commenting on it, that I give you the information which you need really and leave some unnecessary or confusing things out. So whatever I have said, if you ponder over that, that is sufficient for you. I said to you, he should have correct aqidah. He should know his fiqh. And I said he should be practicing the Sunnah and Sharia, and he should know the path which he has taken from teacher. That's all. All these things, some other things, they are personal things which people mention in the books. You don't need to go in that. Rather, you get confused. So it's better not to actually delve into them. Fana, baqa, these were terms never used by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as such. They just confuse people rather.
Can the teacher give some advice on how we can take this course to others, or do we have to wait until the teacher gives permission? This text or these teachings, particularly over the last 10 days after Zohar?
I'll inshallah explain to you. Let me bring that mountain diagram jo aa gayi na. To answer that, you need to look at the mountain diagram. In the course of self-purification, tazkiyah, there are things which you can invite people towards the truth, create thirst in them to wake them up from sleep. And those were those things mentioning about death, mentioning about here akhirah, mentioning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala greatness, Rasulullah sallam status, the stories of awliya, anbiya, the company of spiritual masters, the sayings of the awliya. This thing everyone can do. Yani create want and concern and thirst in people, everyone can do. There is no restriction on this. आप भी जाएं, ये चीजें बयान करें, वो चीजें हैं here. Then, because many of you are traveling the path, then it comes the mentioning the path, that for the path there is 4 conditions. 1 ultimate aim is the pleasure of Allah, 4 objectives, and their body, mind, and heart, and soul. This one can mention that this is how you reach Allah. But only thing which, if you are not qualified to take the person through it, you shouldn't say, I'll take you through it. That's the only thing you don't say. So you can create the thirst, give them the overview as well, how it happened, the sheet, and then say, if you want, I can take you to a brother or whoever knows how to give you, then you can start. So that's what you do. So especially people who are on the path and they are traveling and they know, yes, they should mention these teachings to wherever they sit, wherever they appropriate, or if they have opportunity to teach, or we can rearrange these notes in a book form, in a better book, or they're more not in the poem form, but ordinarily in a structured way, where a person can go through with them. So a person can mention, like you were saying. But if a person is like first time hearing and things, all they should mention is these matters here, and the main Allah, whether we are here for Allah's pleasure, that's how we are going to achieve it. These are the conditions, belief, faith, striving, and we have to purify our body. That's how it's done, mind and heart. So at least you can give this knowledge. There's no harm in doing that. This is called dawah. This is your invitation for others. And when they will be interested, then in your locality there might be some brother, etc., who can actually, for example, initiate them, or will know some of the principles and how to teach dhikr and things, and that's it, inshallah.
Is there any more questions?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Reference to note 2653, if the person traveling the path does not have an experienced and qualified living human male Muslim guide stroke teacher, my query is on this male. Does that also apply to females traveling this path?
For a teacher to be leading people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is the males who can lead, female and male. But now female, even though they are qualified, they can't act as a teacher for males. But for under the guidance of the mashayikh, they can teach the path and to females. तो जिस तरह इमामत है, भाई वो इमाम, वो भी इमाम ही होता है, टीचर भी, कि मर्द इमामत औरतों की अपना करा सकता है, लेकिन औरत नहीं करा सकती. हाँ, औरत दूसरों को नमाज के बारे में चीज़ें बता सकती है सारा. So if a woman is qualified, but she have to be under the supervision of a male teacher, sheikh, teacher, she can teach other females. But males are not allowed to get guidance from female teachers. इस तरह नहीं. हाँ, हदीस वगैरह उलूम वो सुनते रहे पिछले मुहद्दिसीन भी. बड़ी बड़ी औरतें थी जो बड़ी बड़ी मुहद्दिसीन यानी मुहद्दिसा यानी हदीस की बहुत बड़ी आलिमा थी, मुफ्ती थी बहुत बड़ी. तो मर्द भी जाके शेख अब्दुल कादिर जिलानी के ज़माने में उनके स्टूडेंट एक औरत के पास भी बगदाद में जाके हदीस सीखते. वो औरत पढ़ाती हूँ और वो हदीस की अपना वो हदीस सीखते, तफसीर सीखते, और वो भी इतनी बड़ी आलिमा और औरतें गुजरी हैं. तो वो लेकिन इस रूहानी दुनिया में वो आप फैज़ जो है वो या गाइडेंस इंस्ट्रक्शन मेल टीचर से ही मेल ले सकता है. फीमेल जो है वो मेल से भी ले सकती है, लेनी चाहिए उसको. एंड देन देयर आर रिस्ट्रिक्शन, एज आई सेड, दैट महरम हो, उसके साथ मिलना, if he's a non-mahram, etc., etc. A father, son should, or a brother should be with her or whilst in the presence of the teacher, and these things are observed. Yeah. दूसरी बात यह कि आपने जितने भी ये तसव्वुफ़ के तज़किया के सिलसिले, हदीस की किताबें, आपने किसी औरत का नाम किसी सिलसिले में सुना? नहीं, आम नहीं. हाँ, नेक औरतें बहुत हुई हैं, जैसे राबिया बसरिया है, इमाम हसन बसरी यूज्ड टू गो एंड सिट द कंपनी एंड हियर. लेकिन जो है टेकिंग द पाथ एज अ होल फुल फ्लेज्ड टीचर, इट डिडंट हैपन. फ्रॉम नॉलेज, हदीस, फिक़्ह, तफसीर, one can take.
Assalamu alaikum. My question relates to the issue of name and fame and love of materialistic desires in this world. If somebody is blessed with money through halal business and earnings, does that mean they should refrain from buying beautiful things like a cars, mansion?
As we say that the love of dunya is bad, having dunya is not bad at all. You can live in a palace and you can be a wali. You can live in a hut and you can be a wretched person. So it's not do with that. It is what's inside the heart. And inside the heart, how you determine that is, if you are indulging in haram means to earn money, this means you have love of dunya. If it's halal, alhamdulillah, you can, according to your status, it is mubah for you actually to live in a palace if you can afford, if you can travel in a helicopter, it's good and well. Many awliya Allah, they were very, very rich people as well. Like there's a story about Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra. Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra and or Hazrat Ubaidullah Ahrar rahmahullah was wali. तो उनके बारे में आता है कि one of the scholars of time, Imam Fakhruddin Razi, who was also a scholar and a pious man, he went to visit him, but he was a very rich person and also a pious man, that his horses were tied with the silk, and actually the golden nails or the hooks were made of gold with the horses. Itna wo amir the. Then this scholar heard about him, he's a great wali, so he went. When he saw the horses and like this, he came away from there. उसने कहा भाई ये क्या बुजुर्गी है, घोड़े सोने से बांधे हुए हैं ये। तो फ़कीरी जो है ये दिल की फ़कीरी होती है, ज़ाहिर की नहीं होता, तल्लक इससे ख़ास होता। वो वापस आ गए। He didn't meet him. At the time of death, it is mentioned that Shaitan comes to many people, especially even scholars and others. He tries to say this is right religion, Christianity is right, Judaism is right, etc., and argues with them. And he became and argued with him. And he was such a high caliber scholar that he served the deen and he wrote such books and were teacher like of the world, like you can say, at that time. A scholar of time. Shaitan asked him about the existence of Allah. And he was well versed in that. He could prove people in this world. And he gave them evidence that this is the dalil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Shaitan, with the power of his knowledge, neutralized or cancelled his evidence. He said, if this is the answer, then what about this? He gave the second, third, he gave 100 dalil, and Shaitan actually broke all of them. Because mental things you can break with the power of mind. Philosophy or logic, you see, this is just a fight of minds. After 100 dalil, then nothing was coming in his mind, and his iman was like actually at danger, verge of collapse. At that time, that Shaykh Abdullah Harar or Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra, one of them, at that time, because he went there once only, they never even saw him, but he was a scholar. So it was opened to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is happening, the scene through Kashf was opening. And at that time, that Imam Fakhruddin Razi, he saw Hazrat Abdullah Harar, Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra. He saw his face and he said, oh Fakhruddin, you are a believer of Allah. Say to the cursed one, I believe in Allah without any evidence. फरमाया नजमुद्दीन, तुम ये फखरुद्दीन, तुम अल्लाह को पर ईमान रखते हो, तुम इसको कहो कि मैं बगैर दलील के अल्लाह को मानता हूँ, बस इसका जवाब नहीं होगा इसके पास। बस उन्होंने कहा मैं बगैर दलील के अल्लाह को मानता हूँ, मेरा ईमान है अल्लाह पर, क्योंकि रसूल अल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया मैंने उनकी बात पर ईमान लिया है, बस उसका बात खत्म। अब शैतान के पास कोई बात नहीं। अब ये तो नहीं कहा नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने सच नहीं बोला, ये तो वो नहीं कह सकता, तो कोई पता है भाई ये तो काफिर भी मानते हैं, तो उनका फिर ईमान पर जो है तो वो बड़े अमीर बंदे थे। इसी तरह बहुत सारे वली औलिया जो अमीर भी गुजरे हैं, गरीब भी गुजरे, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट दे डोंट कम रिच विद पब्लिक मनी, and yes, rather they have been doing their own business or working, they've been working, या बिजनेस करते रहे। आज जो फितना बना हुआ है कि लोगों से माल लूट, चंदा हम चैरिटी कर रहे हैं, ये हो रहा है, हम चैरिटी में ये बना रहे हैं, वो बना रहे हैं, एंड इन दैट यू से भाई इनका अपना काम क्या है, पूछा ना पीछे आपकी कहाँ से इनकम आ रही है, इतना भी नहीं, काम भी नहीं है, बिजनेस नहीं, कहाँ से, आसमान से आती है, कहाँ से आप ले रहे हैं भाई। सहाबा ताबीन तबा ताबीन बहुत सारे कारोबार या मजदूरी करते थे, हज़रत अली मजदूरी, आप क्या करते हैं, को कारोबार है, इन्वेस्ट किया हुआ है, कहाँ से, तो वो फिर आपको गाड़ियाँ भी हैं उनके पास, मोहल्ला, तो फिर दिस इज थिंग समथिंग ड्यूबियस। बट इफ यू थ्रू हलाल मीन्स you are earning, you are a millionaire, billionaire, at the same time you can be a high ranking wali as well. But rather rich people, if they come towards Allah, they even earn higher status even, because in spite of having all these luxuries, they are living. So if you hear the story that a wali or a sheikh said, you leave your richness, you leave your property, that is for their cure. Sometimes they have love of dunya, then for cure they might say, actually leave this, because they can see that this person is locked into love of dunya, so for cure purposes. After they have cured, they can become king. So that's why in Anbiya alayhi salam you find kings as well. Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam was a great king. Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam was a great king. But at the same time, messengers of Allah. But then there were people like Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who were not kings outwardly. They lived as life as servant prophets. That's what Prophet ﷺ chose for himself. So that's why a person should not hasten to criticize people just based on money or on outward appearance of thing, materialistic things. But yes, if they are not following the teachings of Sharia, Sunnah, they are not fulfilling the rights of people, or actually not teaching the path, or actually are getting money unlawfully from people, then it's a matter of concern. And finally, I also say, the Shaykh Abul Hasan Ali Shazali said, we don't take people out of dunya, we take the dunya out of people. This is the idea of the Tariqa Muhammadiyah, Shazaliyah, that we take people, don't take people out of dunya, you leave your millions, you leave your everything and come to us. But we say, you stay there, you enjoy wherever you are, we'll take the dunya out of you through the prescription which we'll give. So you will be there. ये होता है.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is regarding having a teacher. When would you recommend, or will it be advisable to have more than one teacher if you are living abroad?
Teachers of what religion?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right. A person who wants to learn deen, different things you can learn from different teachers. For example, one teacher might be only teach you Quran. He doesn't know Arabic, he can't teach you fiqh. The other can teach you fiqh. The one can teach you hadith, one can teach you qiraat and things. And one teacher, for example, might teach you the science of purification, but he might not lead you, he can't lead you, he can only teach you theory. So for attaining different disciplines of deen, you can go to different teachers. But when you are having a teacher as a shaykh or a teacher purification, that's like you are under the supervision of a doctor for cure. So you can only take cure or medicine from one doctor at one time. So if you don't like that person is not qualified, you can go to the others. But to learn medical science, to learn about heart attacks, you can go to anyone and learn. So you can have many teachers. One, you are teaching Aqidah, he's teaching you namaz, he's teaching you, but don't think he's all in one. So the teacher of purification, that's why I say to people, don't ask me about the masail which you can learn from muftis, from ulama, normal wudu things. Anyone can teach you. This is something specialist which actually only few people teach. Ask about these things. So yes, you can have more than one teacher, but you can't have more than one spiritual teacher at any one time. And if you're under the ilaj, under the treatment of one teacher, then just stay with him. And after you have qualified, meaning you've been purified, then you can go to many, many mashayikh and shayukh and benefit from them. Or if he's a false one, he's not the good one, then you don't think I have done bad. People say, my grandfather was his murid, my father was their murid, and now their son, I am murid. It doesn't matter where your grandfather was murid. That person might be the right people, and his grandson now might not be the qualified one. So bad or anything cannot hold you back. Anything which can keep you there is only until they are fulfilling their role. Once they turn back from their proper role, then the bath becomes nullified. It is not necessary anyway. कोई भी आलिम बुजुर्ग कोई तसव्वुफ के किसी ने भी ये कहा नहीं बैत वाजिब है, किसी भी नहीं. सब सहाबा भी बैत नहीं करते थे. Some did, some didn't. It's not actually one of those things which are necessary. So, as I was saying about the false people, they are lovers. They themselves say, fakiri achhi hai, fakiran di madad karya karo. But when they see rich people, उनको कहते हैं दुनिया ठीक नहीं है. But when they speak to him, अच्छा चौधरी साहब मेरा मदरसा है और एक्चुअली हम ये बिल्डिंग ले रहे हैं, हमारी कुछ अपना मदद. भाई आप खुद दुनिया के भूख, उसको कहते हैं दुनिया छोड़ो. तो ठीक है, वो अपनी मर्जी से कोई कर रहा है तो वो करे, वो जब आपने देंगे. लेकिन बट दे false ones, they say to people, dunya is not good, so that it comes to us. ताकि वो हम तक आ जाए. तो ये चीज़ ठीक नहीं. And as I say, that many of the things which they make, many of people, they turn them into their own mansions. Their khanqahs, mosques, Islamic centers are their own centers. They won't even allow other people to pray or to do a program in there. So it's a false idea that they actually say, we are doing it for Allah and His Messenger. That's only to get attraction. And after that then they put limitation and all these things.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hazrat Saab. I just want to ask the question, this topic about halal earnings and potentials. Basically, there are thousands and thousands of people out there that's got restaurants and they do a lot of prayers as well. And if they don't sell alcohol, what happens? The customers don't want to come in. And can they actually separate the alcohol money and sell the halal, beverages like the foods and things like that, and give it to the poor and zakat or whatever? And would that be, and would they be exempt from the potential earning of halal? And also one more last question as well. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that have got, they're selling alcohol on the restaurant on the basis. Even for they're selling alcohol, and if they're still doing the 5 times prayer, will that be accepted?
Any person who is selling alcohol, for example, they have 2 businesses. One is alcohol business, one is other business. If they don't mix that money, yes, we cannot say they're all haram. If, for example, they have a business of a takeaway and then they have a shop selling alcohol, they keep that money separate and they spend upon them from the halal, that is halal. But that will be haram actually, which they are earning from alcohol. So some people are in a situation that they have a business which is, for the one business which is haram, and if they mix, then all things become mixed and doubtful. But if they keep separate, they don't let it touch. For example, they're getting a benefit, child benefit or any other, which is lawful for them, so they can pay zakat and things using that and avoid. But getting into that business is very destructive itself. Tomorrow we'll go to little bit of detail of 10 ways to earn unlawfully, 10 ways of earning unlawful wealth. So in that we'll describe as well these things as well. So today I'll just mention one thing because you've asked a question. The ruling for dealing with buying, selling alcohol, interest and all other these things, unlawful things, working as an employee for people or organization involved in the 10 unlawful means of earning can be few scenarios. One is if the person or organization does not have any lawful means of income, less than 5% is lawful, then dealing with them is unlawful. So if they're less than 5% even is lawful, then dealing with working there is completely unlawful. If the person or organization has some lawful income between 5% and 50%, some lawful, but most of their income is unlawful, then it is makruh, disliked to deal with them and work with them. So it won't be haram, it will be, that money will be makruh money. I mean, there is no barakah in there. If the person or organization has some unlawful income, but most of their income is lawful, let's say they have most of the income is lawful, but some of it is between 50% and 100% is lawful. Between 50% and 100% is lawful, other is unlawful, then it is mubah, then it is jaiz to deal or work with them. So these are, additionally the person should look only at first primary cause for determining whether his income is lawful or not, which I've been mentioning to you. Are you directly involved in the sin like selling alcohol, like became the question of taxis, bus drivers, takeaways, people selling books in shops, etc. So says the person should look into at the first primary cause. The first, are you directly involved or not? Determining whether his own income is lawful or not. For example, as long as the first cause is lawful, then the income may be considered lawful, even if the secondary causes are all unlawful. For example, let's say a taxi driver drives, the person is going to pub. His primary cause is traveling, and now he goes to pub. That is secondary, it's unlawful, but his primary, the first direct income, source of income is lawful, he will be lawful. You are selling kebabs or pizzas, and you know people will eat it and commit zina and dance in discos. But the primary cause of selling was lawful, you are selling food. It was nothing, no drug, nothing. Now secondary is that they will use it, unlawful. You are not. Many people are confused about this. They keep asking questions again and again. Learn this. As long as the primary cause is lawful, the first cause, transaction, then the income may be considered lawful even if the secondary causes are unlawful. For example, now listen very carefully, because these people, from 10 years, people are asking questions and they're still not clear about it because they don't understand what I say. For example, a person who works at a large vehicle selling store, a large vehicle selling, car selling store, a clerk, salesman or something, has a totally lawful income even though the vehicle selling store may receive interest-based payment for selling cars on credit. They might be dealing in interest. They're selling cars on interest. But you are working there as a clerk, salesman, or custodian. So your job doing a work of clerk is fine, paperwork, custodian, you're a security guard there, because your job itself is lawful, the primary cause. But secondary, that they are using it, unlawful means as well, so you are not. So this person has a totally lawful income even though the vehicle selling store may receive interest-based payment. This last ruling is dispensation. Dispensation means rukhsa, meaning flexibility for those who are living in the present and possibly future non-Muslim economies in which they will find a completely lawful source of income. It will be difficult, where the primary and secondary causes are lawful, has become close to impossible. Sometimes it happens like this. So always look at how you are actually achieving it, the income. Let's say I work for a company, I clean their toilets, I clean their... Now they are selling alcohol, they are selling, for example, interest-based product. As far as I am getting my income through my lawful working as a cleaner. So my primary income cause is lawful, but indirectly they are doing something unlawful. A person might sell guns. Selling guns, if it is lawful in a country, is lawful thing. But one person buys and he kills 100 people, and one person buys his own protection. You are not responsible. As far as you fulfill the condition, you have that he had a license, etc., etc., etc. So someone say, oh, selling gun is unlawful, selling gun is haram, because people can kill. Yes, people can kill with knives. So then you say knives are unlawful. Some can chop a tomato, you can chop the head of someone. But you are not responsible. The knife seller is not responsible. Because the primary cause, he said that people use it for actually lawful means. So that's how taxi, bus driving, other things, or if a person is working in a bank as a clerk or anything, that's work. It's best to avoid, even if I can avoid, this is a high level of taqwa. But as the writer is saying, presently, you should look, you are not living in the time of Rasulullah, you are living in the time actually of 14th centuries. So here, you save yourself as much as you can, and a direct involvement in haram, like dealing in drugs, selling alcohol, transporting women here and there for wrong reasons. These things directly when you are involved. Other things you are doing, living in a non-Muslim society, secondary causes, for example, people who get child benefit there, where does the money come from? Money comes from all different companies who is completely based on interest, 100%. They pay taxes. Now to pay tax is lawful, so when the money goes there to the government, it becomes lawful, because they taken it as a tax. So when that money comes to you as a disability benefit, housing benefit, or child benefit, and if you are eligible, it becomes lawful for you, it's fine for you, no matter regionally. So the note which you have in your pocket, any note, let's say this is the note of 10 pounds, that is not haram itself. इसमें नहीं कोई हराम चीज आ जाती. अब नोट में नहीं कोई हराम आती. It means how the note is transferred from A person to B on which base, that which will make it lawful or unlawful. उसमें कोई नहीं है. A thief has actually stole 10 pounds from your pocket, उसके पास ये 10 pound है. For him that is lawful. फिर वो शॉप में जाता है, he goes to the shop and he buys a pizza from you, वही 10 pound, वो 10 pound आपके लिए हलाल है. So the haram does not enter the paper, it is based upon the means which it is actually transactioned from one to, which is, this is difficult to understand, but because you are asking again and again from different points of view, I thought I'll clarify it to you. इसको समझने की कोशिश करें. नहीं आई तो बाद में फिर पूछना जो. जज़ाकल्लाह.
Sorry, Mark, you know, even for if he or she sells alcohol, mixing it with, you know, in the restaurant, and he or she is praying, is the praying still valid, or, you know, is it because they may cause sin because they mix it with alcohol?
Someone has haram rizq, they pray. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned a person who has haram rizq, he has clothing from haram, eating from haram, his prayer is not accepted, but his farz obligation is discharged. It will not be questioned on the day of judgment. You did not discharge your farz, but there will be no reward, no barakah, no blessing whatsoever in his prayer, only that he has performed his duty, that's all. So he should still keep on praying. Like the Sahaba alayhim ajma'in mentioned, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu, there is a person who prays Fajr with us and yourself, and Isha namaz as well he prays, and after Isha namaz he goes stealing. We know about him, he steals. Prophet sallallahu said, soon his prayer will stop him from stealing. फरमाया उसकी नमाज उसकी चोरी के रोक देगी अनकरीब. ये नहीं फरमाया भाई उसको कोई फायदा नहीं, उसको को आज के बाद नमाज ना पढ़ना. Like our people say, they don't try to get wrong thing away from people. They ask them to leave the right. किसी ने दाढ़ी रखी हुई है, गुनाह कर लिया, वो दाढ़ी मुंडे जाया करना, तो उसको कहो वो काम छोड़ दो. Instead of saying भाई दाढ़ी मुंडो, नमाज छोड़ दो, अच्छा बजाय ये कहने के उसको जो गलत काम है उसको leave that, leave the wrong thing. Don't actually ask him to leave a right thing, because that is good thing that can actually take him back towards goodness. So आप ने फरमाया कि चोरी नमाज, a person is praying and selling alcohol, don't ask him leave prayer, there is no use you praying. Ask him that to attain full blessings of prayer you need actually a lawful income, because you are doing prayer, your farz is being discharged, but there is no blessings coming, and etc. etc. So he might actually coming to the mosque for prayer one day listen, and it might affect him, he might actually change his mind. And if you say him leave the prayer, then you're pushing him into the hands of shaitan fully. Jazakallah, I think that is sufficient. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to understand the deen. As you heard from Brother Ilyas, there are certain expectations from you. You can be those people who can hold the flags and take the deen and the true path to other people. So don't underestimate yourself, because it is said that if you, no matter who you are, if you fulfill the qualification, meaning that you have sincere, no knowledge of dunya, and you want to take, Allah will, all help of Allah will come with you. Allah will give you knowledge, Allah will give you wisdom, Allah will take the work of deen from you. So you have the potential, don't underestimate yourself. This can happen. And like the Prophet ﷺ is not happy with false peace, and no one should be happy. False peace or anything. This means that whoever will take up the flag of his deen and sunnah, his help, his faiz and blessing will come with that person. वो आप भी बन सकते हैं. Don't underestimate yourself. वो आप भी बन. Don't think only there are certain people who can become friends of Allah, awliya, and come. If Allah wills, He has taken work of deen from ababils, from birds. Allah ने तो अबाबिलों से काम ले लिया, चिड़ियों से. तो आप चिड़ी से तो अच्छे हैं कम अज़ कम. ठीक है. जज़ाकल्लाह. सुब्हानक अल्लाहुम्मा व बिहम्दिक नशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्ला अंता नस्तगफिरुक व नतूबु इलैक.